Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and Financial Juneteenth, and I wanted to talk about something I just saw in the media about Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was actually recently uh, just, I mean, his public reputation is pretty much uh, gone to a place that none of us ever thought it would ever go. He was once a guy who had a pretty pristine reputation in the public eye, but some things that happened behind closed doors have pretty much killed off his father figure image, at least when it comes to mainstream America. Pretty much for good. He's probably going to die a disgraced man. Hopefully, he'll live a long time, but he's getting up there in age, and it's kind of hard to come back from something like this. Um, One of the things that I saw recently was that Spelman College decided to part ways with Cosby. Spelman had been one of the greatest beneficiaries of Cosby's generosity toward HBCUs. I believe he had a genuine love for HBCUs. He gave Spelman $20 million back in the 1980s, which was the largest gift anybody had ever given to an HBCU. Most black celebrities don't care about HBCUs. If you recall, Dr. Dre was challenged by an HBCU president down at, was it Xavier? The brothers in Kimbrough. I think it's Walter Kimbrough. I think is his first name. The president down there, Kimbrough at Dillard, not Xavier Dillard, who challenged Dr. Dre and said, "Why are you giving all this money to a white university, USC?" When there are black students who could use your money. HBCUs educate almost all black students. So, or the majority of the students at HBCUs are black. So why would you give money to a school like USC that A, doesn't need your money, B, doesn't admit very many black people unless they can dribble a basketball, throw a football. They don't hire black professors, and black students there have been complaining because they've been subjected to racial profiling and all of the kinds of mistreatment. So these are places where black people aren't welcome. But to tell you just how brainwashed we are as a people, some of us will still give our money. We'll gladly show up and give our money back to the same white people who have stolen it from us for the last 400 years. And so, because I guarantee you that some of that wealth that built schools like USC, a lot of that wealth came from our ancestors. It was stolen from our ancestors. So you're an absolute fool if you keep giving your money back to the descendants of the people who stole it from your ancestors in the first place. So I give Bill Cosby a lot of credit for what he did for Spelman. I don't think that what he did, behind closed doors in his personal life, I don't think that takes away from his contribution. He's educated tens of thousands of young women. He gets some credit for that, and I think you can give him credit for that while still holding him perfectly accountable for anything that he might have done behind closed doors. There are so many allegations. You have to believe that something probably did happen. It's just too many. It becomes even murkier by the fact that there really isn't much physical evidence to go off of. No rape kits. I don't know about how many police reports there are, but I don't think there are that many. So that's kind of strange. It makes it very, very weird. It's made even more confusing by the fact that all the different witnesses, which an eyewitness, a victim's testimony certainly does count as proof, right? But not every accuser is equally credible. Janice Dickinson, it's hard. She was a known drug addict, so it's hard to necessarily. It's hard to believe, for example, that Dickinson wasn't the kind of person who would take quaaludes voluntarily. A lot of people took quaaludes. A lot of people bought quaaludes, and one of the things that I think is so interesting is that everybody's talking about Cosby as if he's the only person who did this. Hollywood, unfortunately, in many cases, can be a very sick place. You have Hollywood directors. The X-Men director right now is being sued for holding pedophile parties where they would have little boys walking around butt naked and raping little boys. Now, I'm not saying that that's what he did, but that's what he's being accused of right now in court. And then when you talk about the Quaalude culture, a lot of people bought Quaaludes. A lot of people took Quaaludes so that they could have sex, male and female. A lot of people voluntarily took Quaaludes, male and female. So, even though I think that with Cosby he is unique in the sense that he seemed to be just so consistently caught in these same situations. Um, at the same time, I think that to look at Cosby as being separate from a broader culture is absolutely ridiculous. In fact, it's funny because one of the things that I do believe about the black male, the perception of the black male when he's been accused of a crime against a white woman, and most of the Cosby's accusers were white, that the perception is one where By harming a white woman. White woman is the most protected group of people in America. The black woman is the least protected. The black male is the least valued. But the white woman is cherished and held up at a certain level. White women are less likely to be sent to prison when they commit the same crime. When they are victims of crimes, the punishments tend to be greater. Society tends to care a whole lot more. Um, and when a black man is accused of harming a white woman, historically, what's happened is the punishment tends to be magnified. 100 years ago, a black man being accused of looking at a white woman, touching a white woman, and God forbid raping a white woman, they wouldn't even get a trial. They would just hang him from a tree. They come to their house in the middle of the night and pull him out of the house and kill him in front of their family. Um, so that tradition of that lynch mob mentality, going after black men accused of harming white women, that's quite present in this situation with Cosby. Not because Cosby's innocent. Just in case you want to know, I don't like Cosby very much at all. I love what he did with Different World. I love what he did with Fat Albert. I love what he did with The Cosby Show. I will always love that. I love what he was trying to do with Black America with some of these self-righteous speeches he was giving, but I did not like him much as a person, and I certainly didn't like his behavior as a husband. I've heard of men who are unfaithful and women who are unfaithful in their marriages. I don't necessarily think that always makes you a bad person because it happens all the time. The majority of these long 50, 60-year marriages that you see out here, they've had all kinds of drama happen. Don't let the hype fool you. Don't get into this false belief that, oh, they've had a perfect relationship and everything's wonderful. No, they did a good job of making you think that it's a perfect relationship. The fact is that it's not. Being unfaithful is not something that to me makes a person a bad person. It does make me condemn them no differently from the way I might feel about a man who wants to marry another man or a woman who wants to marry another woman. People have sexual desires that sometimes can't be put in a box. They can't be put in the marriage box. They can't be put in the heterosexual box all the time. The fact of the matter is that infidelity happens all the time. What bothered me about Cosby, though, is the same thing that bothered me with Kobe Bryant and Tiger Woods. It was the sheer sloppiness of their infidelity, just the rampant nature of their infidelity to the point where you're putting your family in jeopardy. You're putting your wife's life in jeopardy because you're sleeping with all these random women, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. Cosby, you're 50 years old. These 19-year-old girls are coming to you looking for a father figure, a role model, a mentor, and you're trying to have sex with them. I'm not going to say that it makes you a bad person for being attracted to them. Every biology book on Earth will tell you that strong males are attracted to young, fertile females. That's nature. There's nothing necessarily demonic or bad about that. But it's one thing to feel something, and another thing to act on what you want to do. It's like if you work in a restaurant and you're serving good food all day, you're not supposed to take bites off the plates as you're serving the food. That's unethical. You're not supposed to do that. You can eat later, but you don't have to eat everything that's in front of you. And I think that for disciplined men, that's the idea in terms of what men should aim for in terms of discipline. It's okay to feel certain things and to want certain things, but when you're constantly acting on it, acting on your impulses, that shows a type of arrogance. It shows a type of narcissism and disregard for other people. You're not thinking about your wife at home and how you might be hurting her. In fact, I don't believe Cosby hurt Camille just from being unfaithful. I think he has hurt Camille the most by destroying the reputation of their family, by putting his business out in the street. I think that probably seems to hurt her more than the fact that her husband slept with other women. Anybody who thinks that Camille had no idea is probably pretty naive. Most spouses kind of know their spouse's sexual appetite on some level. Not everything. There are always secrets in relationships. I believe that, but not. But in this case, I think that she did know some things. So going back to Cosby, and believe it or not, I was actually thinking about the Spelman thing, but this is spurring a lot of thoughts. So I hope you'll bear with me on this. I'd love to hear your comments. I don't pretend to have all the right answers, but in terms of Cosby, another thing that really comes to mind is I put going back to Cosby being a black man being accused of harming a white woman, which is one of the worst crimes that a black man can commit in America, a country that has an undeniably racist justice system. You've got three black men that I think about who kind of had a similar experience because of what they did with with white women. The first was O.J. Simpson. The second was Tiger Woods. The third is Mr. Cosby. They all seem to fit in the same category in my mind for a couple reasons. One, they were all beloved by white people before the big event, before the Big Bang, right? O.J. Simpson was America's favorite white man. He was getting all these opportunities from white people. He had told black people to go to hell. The black community wasn't riding with him anymore, but he didn't care. He was doing everything in the white world, and they loved him. They embraced him until he was accused of harming a white woman, in which case they started treating him like a nigger. And then his world kind of flipped upside down because they chased him down until they finally got a reason to send him away to prison. Tiger Woods, again, he was also America's favorite white man. He really didn't care much about being black. He talked this Cobblination stuff, but at least with Tiger, he didn't get too involved in politics. He didn't say too many things that infuriated the black community. He just went out and played golf and dated and married white women, and that was his thing. Fine, whatever. But Tiger, once he cheated on his wife, it was so interesting to me because he was treated as if he was a criminal, like he had really done something illegal, when really all he did was use his penis on the wrong woman. He did something. He violated the terms of his marriage, which to me was between he and his wife. But America had him apologizing on TV like he was a little boy, almost like he had went out and murdered somebody. I did not understand that. That was just so strange to me. And now Tiger, now as a husband, I put Tiger in the same category as I put Kobe and Cosby. It was sloppy as hell. I mean, you sleeping all these porn stars with no protection? Are you serious? I mean, is the sex that good? I, just so you know, young brothers, if you're listening, there should never be sex that good that you're not protecting yourself. I'm not telling you, men or women, about whether you should be faithful or not faithful. People do what they're going to do. But at least respect the person you love enough to be careful when you're out doing your thing. Because there are real diseases out here. And in fact, most people that carry STDs don't even know they have them. Most people will maybe get an HIV test every few months, maybe once a year, but as they sleep with 50 people a year, and then But the funny thing is they don't get tested for all the other diseases you can have. There are a thousand, not a thousand, but there are several diseases a person can have besides HIV. But for some reason, when people are clean of HIV, they think, oh, I'm healthy. I can go do whatever I want. I can sleep with 15 women in the next 3 months, and it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. You have to be careful about where you put your body. So what I find happens sometimes, and I talk to young guys about this a lot, is that sometimes when you get in that alpha male category, because you're the rich, famous person, the good looking guy, the one who walks in the room and all the women look at you and they all want you, that addiction can cause you to put yourself in very bad situations and make very bad choices, and it can cause you to really seriously hurt the people that you care about the most. And I just have to let them know to be very careful about that, because when I see what's happening to Cosby, I just see this sort of as a culmination of a lifelong commitment to arrogant, very sloppy, a very sloppy personal life. Again, I'm not a guy who's gonna judge if somebody told me Cosby slept with a few young women back in the day. A lot of the men did that. I mean, in fact, nature, again, I learned a lot about human beings by watching these nature shows and stuff. Most mammals, actually, alpha male mammals, mate a lot. I mean, animals that, we're talking about like bear and buffalo and dolphins or whatever, they don't care about politics. They're not into this whole, men and women are the same bullshit that we teach each other. That men and women want the same things and all. That's not true. They don't want the same things. Men and women are different. Biology tells us that. But in many of these other species that are mammals, just like we're mammals, in some of them, 5% of the males produce 95% of the offspring. So that means that you have this small category of alphas, where when females are in heat and they're looking to mate, they're not looking to mate with the scrub over there or the average guy. They all want him. Him. They want Idris. They all want the Idris Elba. That's why an Idris Elba can walk into a room and 300 women will be like, ooh, I want to sleep with him. They all want a piece of him. So what's unfortunate, though, is that if you have a guy like that who's not responsible with his sexuality, who is such a narcissist that he doesn't protect his body, protect the people he loves, or think carefully about his choices, he can end up becoming what's the word? A serial infector, if you will. He can end up carrying disease all throughout the black community. There's some guys out here that will sleep with a ton of women unprotected and not even go to the doctor for years, right? So this is something you have to be thoughtful about. And so I guess what I would just say with this, and I'm not talking about Cosby and his STD thing and all that. I'm just talking about just the general absurdity of Cosby's very poor choices as a husband. Again, I don't know if it's anybody's right to jump on anybody for a couple of acts of infidelity. I do believe it happens all the time. But when you have something that is that consistent, that rampant, and then you throw rape on top of that, and you shame the hell out of your family, to the point where everything you've worked for 50 years is now gone, and all your money might be gone too after Gloria Allred gets through with your butt. You need to kick yourself, especially when you have spent so much of your life pretending that you're better than other people. When you spend your life chastising other people for their behavior, for their poor choices, for their lack of discipline, and here you are doing this stuff. I mean, and it makes me very sad because what it does is it tarnishes an otherwise amazing legacy. But at the same time, I think we can certainly dissect the two. They can be oil and water. You can say, look, Cosby. There's a good chance Cosby did some things with women that he shouldn't have been doing. But I'm always love A Different World. I will always love The Cosby Show. I will always love Fat Albert. I will always appreciate all that money that went to educating those kids at Spelman. And I challenge other celebrities to do the same thing. And that's really it. So, but at the same time, I understand why Spelman cut ties with Cosby. It's hard to run a women's college when you got chairs and buildings or whatever named after a man who pretty much appears to have probably been a rapist. It just doesn't work. It's not fair to anybody. But I'm sure they're very sad about this because a lot of people are going to lose when that Cosby money's gone, and that's the part that just leaves me conflicted. So I challenge those who hate Cosby, who want Cosby's money to be taken out of Spelman, make a donation to Spelman. Go write them a check. Help replace that money so that those young girls don't suffer because they have to walk away from Cosby. When you tell somebody to walk away from one thing, you should probably give them something to walk toward so that you're not just sort of playing armchair quarterback or yelling from the peanut gallery. So, my preferred HBCU that I've adopted, just so you know, in terms of donation and whatnot, I don't give to my alma maters, University of Kentucky or the Ohio State University, because they already make millions of dollars from black athletes. They don't need my money. Their endowments are massive. So what I did was I adopted an HBCU. I adopted Clark Atlanta University, where I'm an honorary member of the Alumni Association, and I write my checks to Clark Atlanta University. So I encourage everybody who cares about educating black youth, go write a check for an HBCU. Go make some donations. It doesn't have to be much. Just show your support. So that's really all I want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and also if you're interested in how money works in general, investing, etc., we do have something called the Black Wealth Boot Camp, which you can check out. The students love it. I think you'll love it too. The website is theblackwellthbootcamp.com. That's theblackwellthbootcamp.com. Until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.